Hello, this is OrangeCoffee. Today I have an artifact guide. I'll start with the general information, talk about upgrading and currency management, and then describe how each artifact works, when and why they are good, and which are worth upgrading, and of course rank them all. There's 24 artifacts that are grouped into 3 categories: Hunt, Survival, and Utility. Hunt artifacts give advantages and information for combat. Survival artifacts improve defense and provide health or shield. Utility artifacts grant buffs, movement, and unique abilities. Artifacts can be extracted from the treasury or caravans and are given out as quests and tutorial rewards. Treasury always gives a rare artifact, and a caravan always drops a common. You can upgrade your artifacts in your loadout to make them better. These are the costs per upgrade. Upgrading an artifact all the way to legendary gives it a bonus effect. To get Wonderium and Hawks, deconstruct or sell your trinkets and excess artifacts. Always deconstruct everything because Wonderium is harder to get than Hawks and can be converted to Hawks. Everything has the same conversion rate. 1 Wonderium is worth 25 Hawks. If you don't use an artifact to deconstruct it, you can always buy it back. This is also how you convert Wonderium to Hawks, by buying artifacts for Wonderium and then selling them for Hawks. To give advice on which artifacts are worth upgrading, I will directly compare legendary artifacts with rare artifacts. Getting an artifact to rare is very cheap, but upgrading to epic or legendary can be very expensive. This way you can decide if you really want to get something to legendary, or you are better off running a different artifact and upgrading something else. I will rank the artifacts in 2 ways. Once on a scale of good to bad, which is self-explaining, and on a viability scale from general purpose to situation or build specific. Some artifacts have an effect all the time, and some only work in specific situations or specific builds. There's often multiple ways to achieve a similar effect in your loadout, so you need to consider which part of your loadout you want to sacrifice to get that effect. Generally speaking, the Exo slot has the most powerful options, next powerful are artifacts, and lastly ward, gear and boosters. But let's get started with all the artifacts. Nimble Newt. While unarmed, sprint at maximum speed and with 34% less stamina cost. For context, maximum speed is the same speed as a haste boost from mushrooms or from boombox. This lets you run across the map faster and keep your stamina up during that. Since you have to be unarmed, this is completely useless during combat. In theory good while running away, but actually getting value out of it during a fight is rare. Newt has little use in trios since you want to stick together as a team. It's better for solos since you will be running around more there. Good movement, map knowledge and proper stamina management make this artifact mostly irrelevant since surfing is still faster than running. But it's still very useful if you run a lot, for example while playing solos and doing trinket runs, or even for no weapons build. Upgrading reduces stamina cost. Legendary bonus 30 extra stamina for even more running, so more of the same effect if you upgrade. This is a commodity artifact mainly for solos with no real combat impact. Some people really like it. If you're one of them, it is worth upgrading, but only if you don't need the money elsewhere. Ambusher. After crouching or sliding for 1.5 seconds, you turn into a bush. After performing offensive actions, example shooting, the disguise is removed. It goes on cooldown until it can be activated again. Upgrading reduces that cooldown. While bushed, the visible red outline of the player is gone. This disguise lets you blend in with the terrain to hide from players or ambush them. And it also lets you avoid monster aggro. Since patch 1.4, Ambusher can transform you into different kind of plants, which lets you properly blend in. Here are some examples. That patch also reduced the amount of bush movement. For everything to work, you still need to find a fitting spot and color matching shrubbery. The ambush artifact will work well against new or bad players, and will likely get you killed against experienced players, since they will see the out of place bush or recognize the moving shrubbery. Legendary bonus. If your bush disguise or invisibility get interrupted by offensive actions, you get a 2-second accuracy buff. That legendary bonus is completely irrelevant, same with the rebush cooldown, since it won't benefit you in any way. If you want an ability to hide from other players, I recommend Fringe Fader instead. Ambusher is not a good artifact, but a fun one. If you enjoy this type of playstyle, or you want to troll some other players, go and have fun, but you probably shouldn't spend any money on upgrading it. Purewater Elixir. Restore 1.5 health per second. After taking damage, 2 seconds cooldown on this. Upgrading increases health restoration per second. This artifact lets you conserve time on colas otherwise used for healing after receiving damage while safe and out of combat, which can compensate for bad resource management. Works very good with Blooded Blade or Hit Flask. While the restoration isn't that much, the cooldown is short, so you can often get 10 to 30 health over the duration of a fight, which is little but can matter. For immediate heal, callers are still the way. Naturally gets value while running away or getting to a different position after taking health damage. Legendary bonus. While in surfable water, restore 8 health per second. If you're fighting near water, you can quickly restore to full health with this bonus. It's very situational to happen, but will save you when it does. This effect is also good while getting chased on water. Very general purpose, decent effect. Try it out. If you like it, it is worth upgrading, but it's not a priority. Legendary bonus is great, but very situational. Hellioscope. Hitting an enemy with a gun highlights them for 1.8 seconds for you and your team. Upgrading gives a tiny bit more highlight time. Legendary bonus 4 seconds highlight on weak spot, aka headshot. This duration is too short to track people running away in 95% of cases. You don't gain any information since you already know where the enemy is because you shot them. Useless in solos and a tiny bit useful to direct where players are in trios. This artifact is made obsolete by the ping function and communication. Not worth upgrading or running, maybe as a one-off in trios. Color of Scorn. Eliminating enemies drops trophies. Picking up trophies increases maximum health up to 40 trophies for 35 health. A player drops 3 trophies, a normal lizard drops 1, the bigger the monster, the more trophies they drop. Filled up faster by going to monster rich areas and killing them. Upgrading gives more trophies and therefore more possible maximum health. Increasing health has a good effect since it takes longer to kill you that way. This is base health, which can be regained with healing items. In its current form, the artifact is not that good since the numbers are simply too low and you will get on average plus 10 or plus 20 base health over the whole game. Effect of the artifact is okay, but the build-up is too long and the gain health is too low on average. It's okay on legendary, but not worth the investment. Collector Coil. Each trinket that you are carrying gives this artifact a charge. If you are carrying an artifact, the artifact gives 2 charges. Collector Coil can have up to 2 charges, with each charge giving plus 9 shield. So carrying 1 trinket gives plus 9, 2 trinkets or an artifact give plus 18. Upgrading gives more shield per charge. Extra shield is the best way to increase your total health and give a direct advantage while fighting. Goes extremely well with Hearseal Charm and a burden booster and can compensate for bad luck not finding shields. Legendary bonus. Each charge reduces shield recharge time by 2 seconds. Does not stack with legendary shield. Starting the last time you took damage, it takes 10 seconds to start the recharge again. The actual recharge of your shield is almost instant. The 1 or 2 seconds seems very little, but will often keep you alive trying to heal. If both players are taking cover to recharge shield, 2 seconds can win a 1v1 fight. Since these 2 seconds are enough to get your shield back and shoot back to deny shield recharge on your opponent. The downside with all of this, only active while carrying trinkets. Very easy to find 1 or 2 trinkets to hold, but the buff is lost once you extract, which you obviously want to do. To get the most use out of this effect, time your fights to be not right after extracting and keep track of trinkets close to your extract. Collector Coil is worth running and upgrading. The legendary bonus is extremely good, but all of this comes with a downside which you need to plan around. Survival Slab. After losing health to a range damage, a solid slab spawns between you and the damage source. This slab does not achieve anything since it is tiny, spawns uncontrollably and barely lasts. During a one-on-one gunfight, this will spawn in front of you and block your bullets. If you want deployable cover, play Gelatinum 1. This is the worst artifact in the game, don't play it, don't upgrade, deconstruct. Death Grip. Reduce maximum health of all enemies in a 6.3 meter radius by 20. Upgrading increases radius, legendary bonus ups to 20 to 30. Effect does not stack with multiple players, so practically when you get close to someone you deal 20 damage without using any resources. That damage cannot be counterplayed. This effect is decent in theory, but it only matters if you eliminate someone while they are in the range. Free damage is great, even if it's not much, it will matter sometimes, it's decent, but a bit overrated. If you are jumping into people and killing them, it is worth running and upgrading, otherwise don't run it. Omni Repeater reloads your weapon by 24% when nearly empty or close to overheating on 8-second cooldown. Upgrading gives more bullets, but the difference between common and legendary is usually 1 to 4 bullets on all weapons, so a tiny difference. To clarify this, after using about 70% of your magazine or heat meter, extra bullets worth 24% of the total magazine capacity are added from your reserve to your magazine. For energy weapons it has the same effect but reduces the heat meter instead. Practically this increases your weapon's magazine size by 24% if you empty your magazine. The 8-second cooldown is very short, so during an actual fight this effect will trigger on every second magazine. This is a great effect. Having more bullets is always useful. The few extra bullets you get can often secure kill that normally wasn't possible. The longer it takes to empty the magazine of the gun, the more use you get from Omni Repeater, since it takes longer for you to reach the 8-second cooldown. For example, it's great with the Muldoon, with the Good Queller or the Tide Frame. Omni Repeater does not benefit weapons without a magazine, so all armament weapons, the Comet Cutter and the Supernova. Legendary bonus: eliminating or knocking down players or monsters with a gun triggers the reload regardless of the artifact cooldown. This is good in trio fights since you can snowball eliminations into a bullet advantage and for killing large amount of monsters. Upgrading to legendary is nice to have but not necessary. Omni Repeater is a great general purpose artifact that always gets value when you shoot stuff, worth upgrading to epic for solos or legendary for trios. Not a priority, works great on lower rarities. Pulverizer. After aiming for 1 second, your next shot or burst becomes empowered to deal 25% more damage. Upgrading the artifact reduces the required ADS time, which, while small, is very relevant. Pulverizer gives you the option to wait some time before shooting for more damage. Keep in mind, if you would shoot in the time it would take to charge up your shot, you would always do more damage. Therefore, this only matters on high single shot damage weapons, so Pella, Quasar, Comet Cutter, Neo Riot, Darkspark, and surprisingly the Slingshot. It is not worth to charge up shots with semi-automatic, automatic or burst weapons. Overall, this artifact is bad, but there's moments where the damage bonus is good. For example, on the first shot in a fight or shooting someone that has not spotted you yet. But generally, the time window in which you get a free shot and the time window required to charge this artifact and line up your shot will never align. Just standing still, ADSing, looking at someone waiting for your artifact to charge up is very bad and makes you a very easy target. The artifact only gets value if you can consistently hit your first shot, but if you can do that, just shoot more instead. Legendary bonus: Pulverizer charges faster after each charge shot, stacks up to 2 times. I have found so many bugs and inconsistency with his bonus that I'm just gonna ignore it. For the practical purpose, if you play Quasar and you stay in scope, your empowered shots charge faster. On most of the other weapons it either doesn't work or doesn't have a real damage impact. Pulverizer is fun to play if you like sniping, but it's very bad overall and it's terrible on lower rarities. Fun artifact, but not really worth investing money into. Hearseal Charm: slowly restore 30% of your maximum shield after it is fully lost. The faster lost, the faster restored. Upgrading this artifact increases the percentage of total shield that is restored. Only obtainable from Morals and Rituals questline. Boosted shield does not count towards this. The better shield you have, the better this artifact gets. So practically, when your whole shield is lost, this increases your shield by 31% as long as you don't die within the recharge time. This effect is good because it lets you take more damage exactly when you need it, while protecting your base health a bit. Legendary bonus: Hearseal Charm bonus shield recharge time is 30% faster. Below legendary, the fastest time to restore is 4 seconds and the slowest is around 8. With legendary, the fastest is around 3 and the slowest is 6. Small difference, but still good. One of the best general purpose artifacts in the game, good on all rarities, worth running and upgrading to legendary. Warden's Glass: you can see enemy player footprints in a 36 meter radius. Each footprint has an arrow into the direction of the next one, or if you are very close, the player. Upgrading makes the range you see footprints in bigger. Legendary bonus: if you stand on a footprint and the player of those footprints is in a 30 meter range, they will be highlighted for you and your team for 2.5 seconds. This artifact is not good. If you are in the range to see the footprints, you and the other player will have received the somebody's close warning and will be actively looking for each other. You can only see the footprints when you are trailing behind a player, not when you will meet sideways or up front. The range of the artifact is very small. The legendary bonus is nice, but you have to be so close to them that either player will have spotted the other before it gains any value. Barely triggers, not worth running or upgrading. If you want an ability to reveal players, run Echo Pulsar, Recon Vector or Deep Sea Sense instead, they are all better. Dual-Edgend: plus 18% melee damage, plus another 18% for each empty weapon slot. Upgrading increases bonus damage. There's 3 things in this game that do melee damage: Traverser melee, melee weapons, and the Veteran's Blade extra ability. Melee weapons and Traverser melee are terrible overall. Guns are way better. The empty weapon slot bonus is irrelevant for melee weapons. Running around with just 1 melee weapon is trolling. It is also irrelevant for Traverser melee, since you never want to do that during a fight on a player. Legendary bonus: the bonus melee damage is converted into healing. This is going to be between 5 and 20 damage in most cases, which is insignificant for PvP. You can heal by meleeing mobs, which is nice, but if you're looking for a heal artifact, run something else. There's two proper use cases for this artifact. It's a core part of the full melee no weapons build, which is not good, very expensive and super difficult to execute, but some people love to play it. And bonus damage with a Veteran's Blade, which actually matters. You get plus 10 damage per swing with 2 weapons and plus 20 damage per swing while running only 1 weapon. You can hit up to 2 swings per Veteran's Blade, so this can give up to plus 20 or plus 4 bonus damage. Dual-Edgend shines in its niche, but it's useless otherwise. Only upgrade if you like the playstyle and have the money. Sword Siphon. Killing a monster or knocking down players heals you for 22% of the maximum health. Upgrading increases the percentage you get healed from the maximum health. Most monsters have around 50 HP, so if you kill one, you heal for around 10. You can heal up killing monsters to conserve colas this way. Players have 100 HP, so 22 HP on knockdown and another 22 HP on finish in trios. This heal will regularly save your life when fighting multiple people and allow for more aggression and kills on bullet. Legendary bonus. Knocking down a player while at full health will add the heal as a health boost. This is an insanely strong effect. Boosted HP will single-handedly win you fights. If you manage to win a 3v3 fight in trios, your whole team will have plus 25 HP. You now have almost the health of a fourth player in your team. The extra health in solos is also very strong, but naturally a bit lower. Legendary Soul Siphon is the best artifact in the game by light years and is still good below legendary. Should be used. #1 upgrade priority. Sprintide. Obtained from the Forgotten Artifact questline. Damage reduction while sprinting, sliding or surfing charges up over 4 seconds. The damage reduction charge breaks when jumping or turning sharply. Damage reduction is only useful while getting hit. The movement required to keep the damage reduction charged makes it extremely easy to hit, which is why this artifact is terrible. The damage reduction while surfing is also completely irrelevant. This used to be the best artifact in the game, but it got nerfed to be terrible. I hope this artifact gets reworked soon. Until then, deconstruct it. Vessel Flute. First, how the revive mechanic works. If you get knocked down, you have 100 health and lose 1 per second. Reviving increases your health. If you reach 200 health, you get revived. So now to the Flute effect. Restore 9 health to downed players in Flute range. Upgrading increases health restoration, so you get revived faster. Legendary bonus increases radius from 7 to 11 meters. This effect is applied if you are knocked down or another player is knocked down and in your range. They don't need their own flute. Multiple flutes don't stack effects, but multiple heal effects do. Example, Vessel Flute and Legendary Kite is an incredible combo. This artifact does 2 things. It opens the possibility to revive a teammate without having to manually do it, so you can be fully combat effective while slowly getting your teammate up, and it puts the enemy on a timer to finish the kill they did, making them choose between finishing a knock or trying to kill another player in the next 10 to 20 seconds. Flute only gets value while someone is downed. This is obviously bad, and it can be very easily counterplayed by just doing a bit of damage to a barely moving knockdown player. Good sometimes, but generally you are better off running a different artifact. If you want a no-hands revival effect, you should run a Legendary Kite instead. Worth upgrading if you get value out of it every game, but try not dying before you do that. Obviously a squads only artifact. Chosen's Token. This is a new artifact that for now can only be obtained from Treasury. Converts 50% of damage taken to shield into healing. Upgrading increases conversion percent. Legendary bonus. If total health points is below total shield points, conversion rate is 75%. So when you are missing health and take shield damage, you get healed at a very generous rate. But this situation will almost never happen. If you're missing health, you should heal. There's too many healing options for this situation to be problematic. This artifact will only naturally trigger after losing your health and shield, then running away, and then taking damage again after your shield has already recharged. This will take 11 seconds, you should have healed in that time, and it is not worth dedicating an artifact slot for this very niche situation. Artifact is good when it triggers, but it never triggers. I say it's bad and you should not run it, but it's new, maybe a use case can be found for it. Elder's Mask. Aiming creates a damage blocking mask over your face with 70 durability. Upgrading gives more durability. Legendary upgrade makes it bigger and recharge durability faster. So when you are aiming down sights and someone is shooting at you from straight in front of you, at best it will block a bit of damage and at worst it will deny headshots. The mask durability does not use shield or health, so this is extra health at no resource cost. But here's the problem with all of them. Only active while you ADS and you can barely move, while getting shot at from in front of you. So it's only good in spray battles where 2 players look directly at each other and the other player will headshot you. Don't take spray fights, they are very risky. Any decent player will simply not shoot the mask. If someone hits more than 5 bullets on you, don't immediately shoot back, heal up and reset the fight instead. The extra health from the mask is really good in theory, but the situation where it is good is a bad situation you should avoid getting into. The mask will reinforce taking those bad spray fights. So why is this artifact so popular? There's two reasons. Most people will take bad spray fights in which the mask shines, and because controller aim assist pulls towards the mask. It's good in bad situation and used for the wrong reasons. Use an upgrade if it fits your playstyle, but consider changing your playstyle instead. The next three artifacts all reduce gear cooldown, but each one does it differently. To understand which to use for which build, I will categorize the gear pieces first. There's gear that has an instant activation and gear that has an activation duration. Some gear you will use during combat, some to engage or during downtime in a fight, and some after combat or fully out of combat. The categories are not black and white, but important to understand when to use which artifact. Solacenser. Gear cooldown and recharge time reduced by 45%. Dealing damage gives this artifact a 6-second cooldown, so it won't have any impact during a fight except if you don't shoot back. Upgrading gives more cooldown reduction. Difference is a couple of seconds between common and legendary. Nice to have, but money spent better elsewhere. The artifact is good if you run gear that will be activated after a fight or out of combat. If you don't run any of those gear pieces, you won't get much value out of Solacenser. Does not work at all with gear that does damage, since it will instantly trigger the cooldown. It shines the most with Hit Flask, Flare Gun and Boombox. Legendary bonus does not work, I made a bug report. Solacenser is decent if your loadout gets value from more gear use outside of fights, otherwise don't run it. Blooded Blade. Pressing a gear piece 3 times quickly resets its cooldown and inflicts 23 base health damage. There's a bit delay for balance, there will be 3-second minimum between activation. Depletes base health before boosted health. Upgrading does less self damage, which is good. Legendary bonus, both cooldowns get reset. Useful if both gear pieces benefit from it, otherwise not. I won't go over all the interactions for this artifact, but here are the two big use cases. Out of combat gear spam while having access to heal. So best examples would be infinite resources with flare gun while healing up from the colas, drum or kite, permanent haste with boombox, permanent invisibility. And secondly, extra gear uses during combat. If you just use a gear piece, people will not expect it again immediately, and additional gear uses or permanent access to them is really good on some gear pieces. Fully disabling players by constantly setting them on fire, killing people with only a boomerang, shooting people without looking at them even once, wallhack without cheating. In conclusion, can be very good, but be very careful or you will eliminate yourself with the damage. Overall, this artifact is very playstyle subjective. Only get it to legendary if both gear pieces benefit from the cooldown reduction, but good if used correctly and then also worth upgrading. Powerglass. This is a new artifact only obtainable from the 4 Champions questline. If both gear pieces are on cooldown, reduce their cooldown by 45%. Upgrading increases cooldown reduction percentage. Legendary upgrade makes this also trigger, while a gear piece with an active duration is active. Overall, this is an incredible effect and the best out of the 3 cooldown reduction artifacts. This directly benefits gear use during a fight. The cooldown reduction is enough to get a second or even third gear use during a fight. If you have gear that can be activated without giving you a downside during a fight, you can also use it to get your other gear piece fast. Very good artifact that benefits a large amount of builds, good on lower rarities and allows for more freedom on legendary. Worth running and upgrading. The next 3 artifacts give buffs. To evaluate the artifacts you need to understand the buffs. Handling reduces time needed to aim, reload and switch weapons. Accuracy reduces weapon recoil. Haste maximizes sprint speed and constantly restores stamina. Quickcharge recharges shield independently from the normal recharge. All buffs are useful during combat, with haste also being useful during map traversal and quickcharge being the most impactful during a fight. Attunement Fife. This artifact is new and for now treasury only. For each second you sprint, slide or surf, this artifact charges up to 7 seconds maximum. Once you stop charging the artifact, you get an accuracy boost that lasts until you charge the artifact up again or it's depleted. Upgrading increases maximum charge duration. This artifact is directly as good as the accuracy buff is. Here's a comparison for you to give a feeling for it. With decent movement, you can have an effective permanent accuracy buff that will naturally trigger once you need it. The accuracy buff is decent, but you will get less value out of it the better your recoil control is. Accuracy is mostly relevant on guns that are fully automatic and works best with Gazette, Pulsar and Goodfellas. Overall, recoil is comparably easy to manage in Hawk, but with the accuracy buff, some guns shoot straight with little effort. Legendary bonus. Give 3 seconds of charge after activating a dodge roll. Like the dodge roll, incredibly useless, but having an accuracy buff on a button press is nice. Decent artifact, which will be active most of the time you need it, worth trying and upgrading if you like it or it fits your playstyle. Stormsong Conch. Dealing or receiving damage, give 3 random buffs for 7 seconds. To reset this artifact's cooldown, don't take or deal damage for 20 seconds. Upgrading makes the buffs last longer. The 3 buffs give a massive direct advantage in combat. 7 seconds sounds short, but can single-handedly win the fight if used correctly. Normally this will only trigger at the beginning of a fight due to the cooldown. If you are struggling with a fight, it can be worth to disengage and re-engage with the artifact being able to activate. You need to be a bit careful not to waste the buffs. If you see someone you will fight, try to not trigger the artifact's cooldown by fighting monsters. Legendary bonus also applies the buffs to teammates in a 20-meter radius. Extremely good, but requires some coordination. One of the best general purpose artifacts in the game, worth upgrading to epic if you play alone and to legendary if you have coordinated teammates, but also works very well on lower rarities. Sacred Bead applies 1 random buff for up to 7 seconds whenever a gear or artifact goes on cooldown. Upgrading increases the buff duration. Bead will trigger once a gear piece goes on cooldown, so for combat you benefit most from instant activation gear. And also triggers when an artifact goes on cooldown. Artifacts with cooldown are Ambusher, Survival Slab, Stormsong Conch, and useful with Bead are Omni Repeater, Solacenser and Purewater. Bead won't give a buff you already have, so you can narrow down which one you get by keeping track of what buffs you already have. This can also be controlled in combat with eating Haste Shrooms for Haste, Familiar's Boon for Quickcharge, or Boombox for Haste and Handling. Legendary bonus. When a new buff is applied through Bead, buffs previously applied from Bead are extended for 4 seconds. By delaying the activation of your Bead triggers a bit, you can have 2 to 4 buffs for the majority of fights, which is really good. Also allows for buff stacking. If you have gear that can be activated on a short cooldown, you can stack up multiple buffs until you have all buffs. For now, this works with Hunclaw, Doomerang if you throw it far since the cooldown starts on catch, and Echo Pulsar due to cooldown reduction on legendary. It also allows for haste fishing. While out of combat, you activate the gear, and if you get haste, you keep reapplying the buff by activating the gear again. If you don't, wait until the buff is over and activate gear again until you get haste. You now have a permanent haste effect. Inner power makes all of this easier and allows for make gear to be used. Speed can be difficult for beginners since you need to understand your situation and what to do with the buff you get. But it's a great tool to teach when buffs help and is extremely fun to play. If you play the correct build, you can consistently get 1 to 3 buffs per fight, but generally speaking, Conch is easier to use and better 80% of the time, with Bead giving you more control but less buffs. Sacred Bead is extremely build and situation dependent, but great when it works. Easily the most complicated artifact, but also the most satisfying and fun one. Since this was a lot of information and you won't remember everything, I will group some artifacts together to sum it up. Must run or you are at a disadvantage. Always good. Upgrade them if you don't know what to do with your money. Try them out. If you like them, upgrade them. Niche but can be very good. See if they fit your playstyle or build. They are bad but you might enjoy them. Terrible. Deconstruct without thinking. When it comes to artifacts, you have a good amount of choice and it's very fun to experiment. I highly encourage you to at least try each artifact that you have once. There's also very little difference between having something rare or legendary. So don't get scared or discouraged to try something because someone else has 3 legendary artifacts and you don't. All of this will naturally change as the game gets developed, so I will try to update this in my pinned comment. This video was made for patch 1.4. I might have missed something or got the numbers incorrect. Please leave a comment if you find something or chat to me on Twitch. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching.